Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy's hand here. Recently I destroyed my 26-gallon Campbell Hausfeld air compressor. And when I say I destroyed it, that's exactly what I mean. I was cutting a torque converter in half and using my cutoff wheel, and I was running this thing for actually a little more than an hour. And before it let go, it actually started making a weird noise, and then this happened, and then that was pretty much it. The piston still seems to move a little bit in and out here. But it was requested that I make a video about replacing this assembly on this compressor, so that's what I'm here to do. Now, it's fairly simple in operation. This compressor is run by an electric motor. It runs on 110 volts, and it just basically powers this piston that goes in and out, compresses the air, and fills up the tank. And given that my tank is still in great shape, there's really, this is really all I need to do. So if you run into this issue and you've still got a good tank, why not just replace the pump and motor assembly and then go from there. Now, I'm not going to have to mess with anything here. I can just leave all this stuff here. But I'm also going to replace the moisture valve down underneath, because this one has gotten to a point where it's starting to leak a little bit. So I'm just going to swap that out also. Now, I hope it's obvious, but before you get started, unplug the unit. And one more thing I'm going to do electrical wise is these are the feed wires to the motor itself, and you see a white and a black one. I had the silver marker, so I'm just going to try and mark here. There we go. So that I know that the lower one is the white one. If you hook these up backwards, it's probably going to run the pump backwards, and you don't want that, so it's a good idea just to mark them. And I was fortunate enough, I called my friends at Campbell Hausfeld, and they're actually going to hook me up with a new motor and pump here. So thanks to them for that. And we'll be putting that on next. But first, we have to get this off. And there's just a fastener here, and it sort of hooks in underneath over here. Then there's this fitting that's got to come out, and I'm actually going to take this fitting out because I'm not sure how the new pump is going to come. And then also this mount here, and then it should just lift right on up off of here. That should be all there is. I'm also going to loosen this just so that I can pivot this assembly around a little bit if I need to. Now, before I get too far into this, I should probably note that I took my hose fitting off, and I had to do that because this actually sticks out over this screw. There's two screws. There's one in the front and there's one in the back here. Once you've got those screws undone, it's really just a matter of plastic clips that hold the rest of this on. But you do have to, I guess they really want you to make sure that you've got all the air released, which is a real good idea before you get started on this. So once you take this valve off, all the air is going to come out of the tank. I'm just going to use an adjustable wrench for this. I might just take this all the way off, because whenever you got threaded fittings like this, it's almost always easier to put them together when everything is loose and just get the threads started. Yeah. All's well that ends well, I suppose. Now, I assume this was going to be standard size, so I went with a 3/8, but you might be able to go with a 10 millimeter also. Lift up on the strap. As I said, it's just hooked in under here. This one's on a rubber mount. Might be one more by the feel of it. Or it actually feels like I'm sticking my hand under here, and it feels like there might be doesn't feel like a fastener, it feels like just sort of a rubber mount. Yep, that's exactly what it was. You can see that rubber mount there. In fact, I'm probably going to transfer this over, and I'm just going to set it aside. I don't know if my new motor is going to come with one. It'd be great if it did. But that's it. Our motor's off. Now we need to find a new one and install it. Almost forgot about that drain valve. A very important thing while you are performing any kind of repair is to laugh at yourself. 9/16 on this one. There we go. Yeah, I feel a lot better about that. Ta-da! If you wonder what that noise is, it's pretty windy today. The doors are bouncing around quite a bit. And through the magic of editing, we are back. It's actually been about a day since I took all this stuff off the compressor. And I guess I'm going to start where I finished off with the drain valve. And just to briefly show you how this works, there's an O-ring right here on the inside of it, and then when you run it, well, this is closed, so this is sealed right now. And then when you go to open it to let the air and moisture out, that's what you do, and it goes through there. But what I did is I just took a little bit of silicone and put it on that O-ring so that it would like seat in there like nice, and I could open and close it rather easily because I don't want the O-ring to roll around. So I'm going to take this and install it in the tank. Okay, I'm just going to run it in. It already has a sealant on it, so I don't need to do anything else to this. I'm just going to run it in snug. Don't want to break it off in there. That would be disappointing. I think right about there is good. So open and closed. Let's get that new motor on there. All right, here's our new pump and motor assembly. You can see what it looks like when it's not destroyed. Yay, a little plastic fan. And I did manage to find the bolt that broke off the old unit. But this one, ready to go. Hope I'm turning that in the right direction. Ooh. Looks like I'm gonna have to get some parts before I install this all the way. Forgot something on there. Well, you may remember I did keep this little rubber mount here, which I'm just gonna fit onto here. There's this other rubber block that I believe goes in this area because it's roughly the same height, but this locates it, so that's just with a little adhesive that it attaches. And I'm going to take a little bit of silicone spray and I'm going to spray around here. This will help this rubber slide into its mount a little bit easier. When I go to put this on here, this is that little rubber piece that I just put on. I'm going to try to slide it down in this hole and then slide it forward into position. I can just fit it down in there and slide it forward. Away we go. I think I misplaced that rubber block because it's not quite sitting well. So I took the rubber block off. I don't think that was where it was supposed to be. I thought that there was a rubber mount here that I don't have. Yeah, I would like a rubber mount here just so that it's not solidly mounted, so that it has a little bit of give. All right, well, I don't want to drive all the way back to Campbell to get the stuff that I need, so I think I've figured some things out in your absence. The first of which is this rubber block actually goes between the this part of the pump motor and here is where that goes. It kind of fits perfectly, so I'm going to leave that alone. Something else, I've got a couple of other things over here for you. The pipe that connects everything actually has two O-rings, which they gave me new ones of. So that's what those were. So these were a little old and kind of wore out, so I'm gonna replace those. And also, I'm pretty proud of this. What I found for my rubber for the bolts to make them fit correctly is, actually it's going to be easier to show you this one. These are valve cover grommets. I can't remember exactly what they're to, but I had some of these laying around, so you know, being a pack rat has really paid off today, because I'm going to use this as my my rubber mount. This one needed a couple stacked on top of each other, so I'm going to use these. But yeah, These are perfectly legit, and they'll be nice little rubber insulators that I think will work just fine. Now there's still the matter of the air filtration into the head, because I don't want to really just take in crap air. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of the old Subaru air filter that I just replaced, and yeah, it's still a bit dirty, but I'd rather have a dirty air filter than no air filter. So until I can get that part of it, which I think is going to be a little bit easier to get, I've got this piece here, sort of tape this to the outside of the inlet so that any air that's drawn in will be filtered before it goes through here. So this is legitimate air filter stuff, and I'm just going to tape this in place. So I think those two things, or those three things, will actually get me where I need to be and get me up and running today. We know it, we love it. Now I'm concerned because this is going to get hot, and it'll probably melt the glue on the tape. So this is only a temporary solution for now, but it is a solution. I'm saying this is a legitimate temporary solution until I can get that filter to go in there. As long as we're on this side, might as well put this one fastener in. Remember, I had my valve cover grommets. And I'm just gonna finger tighten it, because actually the next thing I wanna do is I wanna get that pipe in there. Yeah, I'm not even gonna tighten that down. I'm gonna leave that loose for the moment. Now let's get that feed pipe to the tank. Okay, here's that feed pipe. It goes on just like this. Like I said, now I got a little wiggle room with this thing not fully bolted down. I'm gonna install my gaskets. Gonna go with the silicone spray again. Ooh, that's a lot. Just to get some lubrication on there. That way, you know, these aren't being installed dry. Super important not to cross thread these. There we go. See, got a little bit of that gasket coming out the top there. I kind of didn't want to see that, because it's like these you don't want to go too tight, but I'm going to stop there. And while I'm back here, I'm going to take this bracket, slides down under here, pull it over the top. Not all the way yet. I'm going to wait and get the other side on, and then I'll tighten them both down. So there, it's solidly mounted, but it's on those rubber mounts, so it'll be able to vibrate, because with this motor running, this will create a lot of vibration. I'll hook up our electrics again. Remember, we marked the bottom one as our white. Well, I think we're ready to plug it in and just see if it works. I might want to put a fitting back in here just temporarily, just to see where we're at with it, but if it fires up, I'd say we're good. For now, I'm just going to run my air fitting in by hand, just so that there's something there. I'm not going to tighten it down or anything yet, because I need to have this off when I install this upper plastic cover. All right, just in case chunks go flying. Here, put yours on too. That's enough. Now I can. My main concern was to be able to remove my valve and not have a bunch of air shoot this thing out in my face. That just snaps into place. But There's a Phillips head screw here in the front. This is why I had to wait to install that air chuck thing there. On the back. And before I install this, I'm going to add a little Teflon tape to the threads. And I'm going to admit that I often get confused whenever I use this stuff as far as what direction it actually goes. If you think about it, you're tightening it, so I have to turn it clockwise. So when I wrap, I'm going to try to wrap it in that same direction. I could be completely wrong in this. And little thing about Teflon tape, it does not seal. That's not what it's there for. It actually gives you a couple more turns on the threads so that you can, it acts as a lubricant is what it does. And it makes it so that you can get a couple more turns out of the threads so that it almost friction welds into place, which is what makes a better seal. But the tape itself does not seal. A lot of people don't know that. If you don't believe me, look it up. And I just did this backwards. Wrap it this way. There's got to be some plumber out there or somebody who's going to tell me what their little trick is that they use to remember which way to put the tape on. There we go. Well, I'm pretty darn happy to have my air compressor back. I want to extend a special thanks to my friends at Campbell Hausfeld for helping me out on this one. I'm going to put a link in the description to one of their new commercials, which I think is kind of funny. It's called Man Up. I think you'll enjoy that video. If you have automotive questions, you can visit me over at EricTheCarGuy.com, where you can type in a couple of keywords into the search function. Should be right about here. And if you can't get anything there, feel free to sign up for our forum, completely free. All you need is an email address. I can also be found at Google+, Facebook, and Twitter if you want to connect. And I close with be safe, have fun, and stay dirty. The compressor lives again.